Hello, folks, and welcome to another... Oh, sorry. I was just trying out my brand new Twilight Cloak, which I've made. I've actually been working a little bit on some very, well, let's just say fiddly things, right? Just things that require... They're not difficult, but they require a lot of just quiet crafting, right? And I managed to make a Twilight Cloak, which when you're in darkness makes you invisible. Now, here's an interesting thing. We can use a glamour to cosmetically alter our armor. And if I do this, then this cloak is not quite so good because, well, my armor shows right through. However, an interesting fact is that if we do this and put on armor from witchery that reacts to invisibility by making you go invisible, well then, we are almost completely undetectable in the dark. This is perfect because if we go like this and toggle our night vision, well then, of course, we can see perfectly. This is quite the advantage, and so I'm going to be keeping this around. I also went through and significantly expanded my gas tier farm. I have yet to automate it, but I did it just because it's really useful to be able to start producing large numbers of gas tiers, as we can use Botania to convert these into ender pearls, and I needed a very large sum of ender pearls to complete several of these projects. That includes making Claws of the Fire Drinker. Now, this was a massive number of void tiers, which I still have a lot of, right? So you need a lot of gas tiers and a lot of ender pearls. So we increased our weeping pod space such that now we actually have a fairly large number of gas tiers available to us, and it doesn't take very long. I've been using my blood magic, specifically my Sigil of the Green Grove, to make these grow so fast that I almost can't keep up with the harvesting, which is really ideal. And in fact, we may see if we can trick the system into using rituals to improve this, or perhaps Botania can do it. I haven't really tried. There is some other stuff I wanted to talk about because I've completed several automation projects that I'm not going to do a complete breakdown without maybe breaking it out into another flow. And one of these most impressive of projects is, so look at this, we've already gone from like 40, we've got another 30 or 40, is something else. Now, by the way, I have recruited the vampire Garion. Some people call him Sam. For some reason, there's just been this confusion that he's a she. I can't even imagine where people get that from, but let's just clear that up right now. And Garion has been cheerfully diving into witchery. Garion's idea is to make a labyrinth outside, as opposed to our more prosaic entry, to actually shield us from harm. So we're going to be using wild bramble here, which you can see is very easy to manufacture. Lots more. Let me just grab an axe, because otherwise it will take all a month to do. You have to have an axe. But even if you have an axe, right, it still takes a long time. And when you do break it, 2 more pop up, right? So this is naturally an exceptionally powerful natural defensive barrier that is really quite irritating. I also created a room over here for harnessing experience and enchanting it, and I have made a very large number of enchanted books, including a couple of very good ones. And I have actually prepped, I spent almost all my best ones on my bound pick, which, as you can see now, has efficiency, unbreaking, fortune, and kaleidoscopic yellow. Now, the next thing we need to talk about is the altar. It's complete. It's done. But you can see there's some extra stuff here. I'll get to that in a second. So just to recap, this is a system that uses Aura Cascade to spawn in monsters underneath a well of suffering. There is a RF Tools fluid detector up top, wired up to wireless redstone, that sends out a redstone signal when 95% or better blood is in the altar. That suppresses this aura pump, which actually freezes its fuel. The aura pump has a monitor underneath it, which runs a redstone signal to this dropper when it needs more fuel. The dropper has a lot of coal coke in it, because I've been able to mine so much coal and tin that it's very easy for me to produce lots of coal coke, and it's subtle why I need tin, but I do. Let's hop back up here. Now, here's where things get more interesting. Let me show you in here, stone, I've put a lot of it, and slate. This is a lot of slates. I did not do this by hand. This is a system that automatically produces slates tier by tier, and it's quite complicated in its specifics, but it works ultimately. And it seems to keep glitching out a little bit. I'm not really sure why that would be, but I do need to fix it here. So let's go stone. Maybe there's a minor bug in it, and we can fix that right here. But let's pull this out. It's expecting to find a stone and pull it out. But this up here, this redstone emitter, the top side tells you what job it's working on right now. 1 is a weak slate. 2, we should put this in. Yeah, there we go. So there we go. It doesn't think it needs to do any more jobs. 0 is charge up your orb. 1 is make a blank slate. 2 is a reinforced slate. Imbued slate is 3. 10 is the most powerful one, which is filling up sockets. I've been prepping, and that's what we're going to do next. Making filled sockets so that we can make bound armor. That's the plan anyways. But as you can see here, the system occasionally thinks it wants to work on stone. I don't know why that would be. It sounds like there's a mimic downstairs. But if you put any empty sockets in, the system will prioritize filling them. This lever here also can do a cutoff on the thing, so even no matter what this is trying to do, it'll just work. Now, the secret to this is it works basically like this. It goes through, it makes sure there's no redstone signal on the top. If there isn't, it begins to check. Is there... if there is redstone, then it doesn't do anything on this side. But it looks to say, is there a blank? Set up a blank job if we need more blanks. Do we need more reinforced? Set up a reinforced job if we need more reinforced. Do we need more imbue? Set up an imbue job. And these are, by the way, sub-nodes, so they actually have many nodes inside them. The gist of what they do is they pull out whatever's in the altar, usually an orb. They take a base ingredient from the modular storage over here, which is using a remote storage thing for our blood magic, and put it in, and then it sets a variable up top. That variable up top is watched over here. When there is a redstone signal up there, then it checks to see what it should be doing. And if it is doing that thing, depending on what it's doing, if it's like, say, waiting for reinforced, it will only pull out a reinforced when a reinforced is done. And then it will reset this value, and then reset the top signal to 0, allowing the left side to check and disabling the right side. And then finally the right side, if it doesn't need anything, it puts the master orb in. So it's a very, very powerful automated system, and it does things relatively fast. I've also modified the altar to be able to do a socket in one go, so the sockets are able to be made. I also have made many more master's orbs. If I look here, I have made 4 more. So we're going to go ahead and select a series of things for our bound armor. But first, let's go ahead and pull out the sockets and what we need to do the work. So let me go upstairs. I'll meet you up there. Right, well, to make this, the first thing we're going to need to do is actually make a soul armor forge. You can't make this in a traditional sense, so I think if we just go like this, whoop, not quite like that, but like this, I think we have enough sockets. If not, I'll fill them up. I did the math, but I gotta tell you, I'm in a bit of a funny state mentally. So there we go, soul armor forge. Fantastic. We just put this here for now. That will come and that will do its work later, because the next thing we need to do is start picking our upgrades. It is possible for us with a large number of weak blood shards, which I've been producing, by the way. And it seems like... There we are. Seems like we have enough. We do always want to keep one around so that we can manufacture more. In case you haven't seen, you can just use imbued slates, which now my system makes automatically, so it's fairly straightforward for me to keep a stock of imbued slates necessary for these. But we should have enough. We only need 4, I think, to actually go ahead and make this. Each weak blood shard allows for 1 upgrade. But to be honest, there's many upgrades we don't want. Fire resistance affects our vampiric physiology in a funny way, and we actually have the Claws of the Fire Drinker, which are a very powerful fire resistance at the cost of blood, with a favorable conversion rate, so we'd rather not engage in fire resistance. What we do need to do is think about our upgrades. Now, each of the upgrades is possible from a sigil. Now, there's a lot of upgrades, and they all do interesting things, but I don't need most of the things, right? I don't need to have, for example, fire resistance. I don't need to have underwater, this infinite water. I don't need it at all. So what should we then do? We don't want Sigil of the Phantom Bridge. It's a powerful effect. Perhaps we definitely want Sigil of Divination, because that gives a vision into our blood pool that I would love to have. We might want Sigil of Ender Severance. This would mean that things can't teleport near us. I sort of don't know. We could always unbind it if we don't like it. So we could maybe make one of these. Can we make one of these? Yes, we can. Kind of trivially, actually. Huh. We should try that. I don't know if we can teleport. You know what? Let's do that experiment really quick, because that would be amazing if we just inhibited all teleporters near us. But I think that we definitely want an air sigil so that we can fall as far as we want without pain. We want a divination sigil. We probably want a haste sigil to improve our mobility. And give us even better mobility than we have now, because that is, of course, important. And yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like we really are flexible. We can get a sigil of magnetism, so we automatically pick up things. That's really it. So why don't we make this sigil of Ender Severance and see what it does. Well, I'll just grab an extra blood shard here. And I've been making these things automatically in here, and we just need to go ahead. You can see this is a crafter tier 3, which allows me to automatically craft large sums of things. I was using that to make my Claws of the Fire Drinker, because otherwise it's just, it's a real pain. All right, let's go ahead and get, I don't know, 20 Ender Pearls. Yeah. And we have 2 Ender Eyes, so that should actually be, we need an imbued slate before we can continue. Let's just grab one of those, and the system will, of course, if it needs any more, this one here, it will automatically make it for us. But or we need a demonic. But yeah, we'll have to make one, this. And now, by the way, it will actually start working right now. So we can kind of pop over here and see that the system is actually cooking up an imbued slate, and then it will cook up a reinforced slate. Or it's cooking an imbued slate to a demonic. They will then cook a reinforced to an imbued, and then a blank to a reinforced, right with a reinforced, and then a stone to a blank. So the system is just going to kind of crab walk up the hierarchy and make sure that we maintain a positive stock. If we have extras, then it won't bother to do the extra work. So I think we're in pretty good shape there. How much, let's just keep them in here for now. All right. To do this, we just need to make this sigil, and then we'll see if we can teleport with it, because we really ought to be able to. I think it'll inhibit other things. There we go. Let's pick up our orb. So now this is a very powerful sigil. I think it uses a fair amount of things, a fair amount of power, but it should now, let's see if we can teleport, because that's the big question. If it inhibits our teleporting, that would be not the best. So an Ender Staff, right? Let's go ahead and use this. This teleports us back home. So we can still teleport with this. That's fantastic. All right, well, I think this would be a cool 4th upgrade, a utility upgrade. The other thing we could do is the Harvest Sigil, but I sort of like the idea of, like, causing the area around me to become a no-go zone for teleports for anyone but myself. I think that sounds awesome. So, and we can always inhibit that. We'll make an armor inhibitor as well. So then let's go about making these. So let's see. I need to make a Divination Sigil. I need to make a Air Sigil. And I need to make... I've already got the end thing. I need to make another Haste Sigil. It should be no problem. Give me just a sec. All right, let's make us some armor now that I've made the preparations. So the way you make this armor is a little bit different. You sort of pretend there's a crafting table in the air, and you place things as if this was a crafting table. So like so, this would be boots. Now we intend to connect this with haste. The boots will provide us haste and jumping. So let's then tap this like so to insert it, prime and upgrade. Oop, don't want to do that. Like so. And then we insert a Sigil of Haste. There. Now that should create it. Sorry about that. Basically, you have to put one in each slot, and I sort of forgot that. And then we right-click. All right. We need to click on it with a weak activation crystal, but I think I just had the design wrong for these. I always get these boots. Like, I always seem to have trouble remembering the specific design. So, boom, like that. There we go. These should have haste, weak blood shard, and master blood orb. So I'm allowed to have one upgrade there. The next one, we'll go ahead and pick this up, we'll do the pants. Like so. Like that. And then I believe it goes here. A bound blood orb. Let's see, what should we put? We should put the fall resistance in this. And of course, to activate it, we need a weak blood shard to modulate the power. And now, it should be no problem for us to create these. Fantastic. Bound leggings. Now, next we'll make the most expensive component. I will hope that I have enough of these sockets, otherwise I'm going to have to wait a moment. And I think I have enough, but... yeah, I do. I have exactly enough. Perfect. There we go. For this, let's put the Ender Severance. That seems the most appropriate to put here. So, bound Master's Blood Orb. Weak blood. Weak blood shard. And then Sigil of Ender Severance. Here. Not a valid upgrade, huh? Well, that's too bad. That would be really cool. Why don't we make a Sigil of the Fast Miner really quick? Because that would be permanent haste, which seems to me like a pretty good thing to have, and we can always redo this. There we are. That should be all of those pieces. Grab one of these. Okay. We've almost got it. Now, the last piece, which will act in synergy with all the other pieces. We really need all of them at once. Let's see. We can put this here and use it as the base. Is the helmet, which we will put a divination sigil into. Now, eventually, we can actually double up on this, and maybe we'll find some other reasons to do things, and maybe by then we'll have such powerful health that we won't need to use our vampiric immortality. Maybe. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. That seems like a pretty tall order, to be honest. A divination sigil and a weak, or a master blood orb. And there we are. That should be everything. We'll probably have to make a set of this stuff for Garion. So let's go ahead and put it... How about up in here for now? Well, you know what? Let's keep it in our own personal storage. Seems like a fair call. And let's go ahead and remove this armor. Let's also remove the cosmetic armor, just so that we can sort of see how this looks. Look rather nice. Although... somehow I got my shoes on my back, but, you know, whatever. This outfit's still nice. This outfit's still lovely. Right. Well, then, let's go ahead and put on our new outfit. Bound helmet. Whoa. Wow. That is a thing. Then, bound plate. Bound boots. Wow. This is an imposing... I kind of like how the monocle peeks out. We may need to make that invisible. And there's a kind of like claws coming off the side. That's interesting. That's right. So if all went well, we should... Wow. Holy smokes. Look at how fast we can jump. We can run. We're naturally immune to fire from other means. This is incredible. And even this extremely irritating stuff is nothing more than a slight scratchiness. It simply doesn't even hurt us. Our armor is completely maxed out. What time is it? It's nighttime? Let's just go ahead and test this out just a little bit, because this is too much fun. Up, 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 up we go. And heading down. No problem whatsoever. This is incredible. And of course we can watch our blood in the upper left. A little bit of a visual problem there, but not a big problem. This is perfect. I mean, this is exactly what we were hoping for. Between that and this flight, we really, really are mobile and extremely durable.